welcome to Business Daily. I'm Lee-Jiun in Seoul. Let's get started with a glimpse of today's highlights. President Moon Jae-in's drive to dramatically raise the minimum wage is already being met with fierce opposition from the corporate sector. With various economic risks stemming from Korea's major trading partners, President Moon sends special envoys to key countries to get ready for dialogue. We'll sit down with an expert to talk about this. The Ministry of Strategy and Finance has started laying the groundwork for new job creation policies that will help put President Moon Jae-in's campaign pledges into motion. The ministry said it has reviewed the president's 100-day job creation plan and reported back to Cheongwade. This follows the president's first order of business to establish a jobs committee issued on his first day in office. An official from the ministry said the latest report did not include the president's key 13 job creation tasks and that feasibility and actual dates of implementation have not been confirmed. In the past 10 years, export companies here in Korea are shown to have created nearly twice as many jobs as those targeting the local market. A report from the Institute for International Trade today shows that from 2006 to 2015, the number of jobs created by export companies grew by 114,000, about 1.6 times those added by firms selling locally. In particular, the number of newly added regular workers at exporting companies nearly doubled that of producers for the local market. The annual salary at export companies was also about 1.3 times higher, averaging around $69,000 compared to $52,000. By the end of next month, the Minimum Wage Commission is expected to announce the country's minimum wage for next year. Now, given the new government's drive to push up minimum levels, workers are hoping for a bigger pay bump. But the corporate sector is already up in arms. Our Lee Joo-young reports.
A minimum wage of 10,000 won, or about $8.90 by the year 2020. This was one of President Moon Jae-in's main pledges during his campaign as he called for stronger measures to prevent companies from discriminating against part-time or contract workers who often face lower wages and harsher working conditions. Currently, Korea's minimum wage stands at about $5.75 an hour, rising 7.4% during the former Park Geun-hye administration. If President Moon's promise is to be realized, the minimum wage would need to see a hike of 16% annually for the next 3 years. The labor bloc is welcoming this move, but those representing the corporate sector are fiercely voicing their opinion. They say the 10,000 won hourly wage will inevitably force many smaller firms and self-employed businesses to lay off workers and curtail new employment as they strive to reduce labor costs. The argument is that this could further exacerbate the country's unemployment problem. Experts also add that a higher minimum wage does not necessarily translate into an improved economy, and that it's imperative for the new administration to control the pace of wage hikes while evaluating employers' abilities to meet the new requirements. Lee Joo-young, Business Daily.
China's economic retaliation over the deployment of THAAD, a possible renegotiation of the Korea-U.S. free trade agreement, and growing trade protectionism worldwide. These are some of the biggest risks that the Korean economy faces right now, and President Moon Jae-in is determined to deal with these problems head-on. Take a look.
President Moon Jae-in's special envoys have embarked on trips to the U.S., China, and Japan this week to set up possible summits between the president and his counterparts. This follows President Moon's telephone conversations with other leaders. While speaking to President Moon, Chinese leader Xi Jinping is said to have explained why Beijing is opposed to Seoul's deployment of the THAAD system. This has led to growing hopes for improved relations between the two countries, which is why many are watching to see what results the special envoy's trip to China will yield. Over in the U.S., officials from Seoul and Washington are expected to fine-tune the agenda for a bilateral summit between President Moon and U.S. President Donald Trump, which is set to be held in the U.S. next month. The trip comes as Trump has been stepping up his protectionist moves as part of his America First policy. So, what results will these trips produce, and how should the Moon Jae-in government tackle thorny issues with its major trading partners?
And to tell us more about this, we have Professor Kim Se-won from Ewha University joining us in the studio today. Welcome, Professor.
Glad to be here.
So economists have pointed out that one of the biggest risks that the Korean economy faces right now is the growing trade protectionism worldwide. What are your thoughts on this?
Korean economy does not have natural resources, and domestic market is pretty narrow. So exports and imports are the lifeline of the Korean economy. So compared to other export-oriented countries like China, Germany, and Japan, Korea's foreign dependency is larger than any other countries. So the rising of the protectionism these days is one of the largest concerns of the future of the Korean economy.
And obviously, President Moon Jae-in is well aware of this. So with just a week into his presidency, President Moon has sent special envoys to China, the United States, and Japan. So what kind of issues will be discussed?
I think the largest economic issue is the revising FTA with the United States and that related sanctions from China. So I believe that special envoys to these countries will focus on these two issues rather than taking diplomatic gestures.
All right, now the special envoy's trip to China comes after a telephone conversation between President Moon and Chinese President Xi Jinping. So just last week. So can we expect this trip by the special envoy to bring about somewhat positive results in regards to the ongoing tensions between the two countries over that deployment?
I hope so, but actually Chinese government has been searching an opportunity to get out of the strict tensions between China and Korea from the start of the Assad-related sanction. I believe that Chinese government think that this is a good opportunity to get out of the sanctions. So, like President Xi's comments with conversation with President Moon, he is pretty much emphasizing the importance of improving a relation between Korea and China.
Now, another important issue, like you said, is the possible renegotiation of the U.S.-Korea or the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. So with President Moon and U.S. President Donald Trump set to meet next month, what kind of preparations should the Korean government make in regards to this upcoming summit?
President Moon's government is paying the largest attention on revising FTA with the United States.
Right.
But I don't think President Moon will bring up this issue before President Trump does. But if in the two summits meeting in June, President Trump will raise this problem, President Moon will try to explain Korean economy's contribution to U.S. economy in job creation to avoid renegotiating FTA.
Now, coming back here to Korea, President Moon has also said that he plans to hand over trade matters which is overseen by the Trade Ministry, back to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. What's the reason behind this move?
Actually, there has been a long competition between two departments, Foreign Affairs Ministry and Trade Ministry, on gaining foreign trade policy initiatives. But President Moon believes that the Department of Foreign Affairs is more effective in carrying out negotiations with foreign governments. But it is important to know that the negotiations with foreign government is a teamwork supported by all related departments.
Right. Well, with a lot of challenges ahead for the new government in regards to trade relations with other countries, in your opinion, what should the new Moon Jae-in government, what kind of path should the new government take?
I believe that the most important theme of the foreign trade policy is expanding free trade agreements with many other countries. So for that purpose, it is important to finalize the RCEP negotiations, which is the multilateral free trade agreement with 16 countries, as soon as we recover economic relations with China.
All right, let's hope to see that go on soon. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
The daily foreign exchange turnover in the first quarter rose by almost 12% from the quarter before. According to the Bank of Korea on Wednesday, the average amount exchanged by domestic and foreign banks here in Korea reached almost 50 billion US dollars. Now that's $5 billion more than the previous quarter. But it's a 6% short of the all-time high reached in the first quarter of last year when daily turnover was at $53 billion. The dollar-won trade this quarter was up 7% at $14 billion, while the 1 RMB trade grew by 17% to $1.6 billion. Overseas card spending by Koreans has hit a record high. According to the Bank of Korea on Thursday, Koreans spent over $4 billion in the first quarter, topping that mark for the first time ever. That's a 22% increase from the same period last year and a 7.4% rise on quarter. The hike is attributed to more Koreans going overseas. Government data shows that over 6.5 million Koreans traveled to foreign countries in the first 3 months of the year, compared to 5.5 million the previous year. Card spending includes payments on debit and direct payment cards, as well as credit cards. Meanwhile, foreigners spent nearly $2.5 billion on plastic here in Korea, down 7% on year. Hackers claiming responsibility for last week's massive ransomware cyber attack have threatened to release information related to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The hacker group, calling itself the Shadow Brokers, made the statement in a blog post, while also threatening to leak Russian, Chinese, and Iranian nuclear data. The announcement seems to contradict claims made by some cybersecurity experts who have suspected North Korean sleeper cells of masterminding the cyber attack. Since last Friday, the WannaCry ransomware has infected more than 300,000 computers in 150 countries worldwide. Buying your own home in Korea is considered challenging for most people, but at the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a growing number of homes left abandoned, now topping 1 million units. And these empty homes are leading to an exodus of residents and shops, dragging down the local economy. Here's a closer look at what can be done to resolve this growing problem.
This residential area in Namgu District, Incheon City, has seen a large outflow of people ever since a big university that was once nearby relocated elsewhere. The streets have become more deserted than ever due to a lack of young people, and there are now over 50 empty homes here. As the neighborhood saw an increasing number of deserted houses, the real estate market also started to dry up, with hardly any transactions. Neighborhoods like this can easily turn into crime-ridden districts, susceptible to arson and sought out by troubled teens.
This neighborhood in particular is seeing more and more vacant homes. This trend can affect property prices to a certain extent.
It's not only the real estate market that's suffering. The local economy has also been hard hit. With a shrinking number of customers, local businesses often end up having to closing down. Without residents and surrounding shops, neighborhoods like this soon loses their vibrancy.
We have a lot of empty, deserted houses here. We have fewer residents, which means we have fewer students. So for stationery stores like us, it's difficult. Small businesses struggle a lot.
Empty homes in Korea are becoming a serious issue. The latest government data forecasts the number of vacant houses will surge from 800,000 back in 2010 to over 3 million in the year 2050, meaning every 1 in 10 homes will be deserted. The main reason behind the shrinking demand stems from the decreasing number of young people and the growing senior and single household population. On top of this, new homes are being built in the hundreds of thousands every year, creating an oversupply. The population is shrinking, but the number of homes is on the rise.
Korea is an aging society with a decreasing population. so vacant homes are now becoming an issue because of the excess supply from the property boom. In Japan, there are 8 million empty homes, accounting for 12% of total housing. Korea might also be headed in that direction.
Local governments are now stepping up efforts to tackle the issue of empty homes. One district office in Incheon rented out a house that had been vacant for 2 years for free to establish a local property management center.
This place was empty before, but now on the first floor we have a station for 11 people to work for a face mask business. And on the second floor, 12 others look for problems in the neighborhood so they can offer help.
Incheon City has been seeing a growing number of abandoned homes since 2013, so we're running a project to make use of them. We're renovating these properties to use as public spaces. Also, we rent them out to social enterprises for free to help them grow.
The Seoul City government has been running an empty home revival project since 2015, turning abandoned houses into guest houses, shared homes, and cafes. This multiplex home was empty for almost a year. It was renovated earlier this year, and it's now being run as a shared home. It's popular among young people, as the prices are only about 80% of other surrounding facilities. The owner is also happy that she was able to remodel the old house and to make money from rent.
This house is 21 years old, and because it was run down, we couldn't get any tenants in for about a year. But now I get rent every month, just like pension. Everyone likes it, and the house is like new again.
So far, Seoul City has supported 4 companies to transform 223 empty homes into social housing. This year, we plan to supply 160 units in 32 neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods that were dying out because of neglected empty homes are now seeing young residents move back in. They hope this will help bring the area back to life.
Empty houses are closely linked to polarization in urban areas. Excessive urbanization has created too much supply, and that's accelerated polarization. Fundamentally, the government would have to pour in money to repurpose all the abandoned homes, but that wouldn't be feasible because of the costs. It should first identify all the empty homes and draw up plans for each type to reduce some of the problems.
Polarization in the property market is one of the main causes that has led to this problem of empty houses. There are high hopes that new ideas will help generate fresh demand in the market and restore neighborhoods to their vibrant past.
Recently, the craze behind recipes that mix simple, often ready-to-eat foods together has re-emerged, driving up sales of certain products. Our Elliot Kim has more on this story.
Recipes that mix prepackaged foods together are not something new, but recently the trend has re-emerged on social media outlets like Instagram and blogs. So-called modesumers are taking foods that they can buy at small marts and even convenience stores and mixing them together in meals that can be easily made after work. These days, Kim Ji-hyun, an office worker, has become addicted to cooking. He uses the soup and garnish of pre-made meals combined with sliced vegetables and meat to make complete meals for himself. He also uploads them to social media so his friends and other people can see and use his recipes.
I'm not doing a lot of cooking. It usually takes 10 to 20 minutes, but I enjoy it because it's my own special dish.
The modasumer fad began in 2012 when an entertainment program introduced a recipe mixing instant ramen noodle soup with black bean noodles. Blog posts with these kinds of recipes are frequently popping up once again. Convenience stores have developed recipes for this as well, such as adding instant dumplings, sausage, or cheese to spicy rice cakes. As a result, sales of related products like cheese and sausages, which can be easily added to many foods, have increased. Companies are also launching new products that pair well with existing popular products.
Recipes that mix rice with dumpling fillings were popular on social media, which is why we put out this product.
As these modesumers add their own twist to existing dishes and share them on social media, food companies are looking to capitalize on the increase in sales by creating and introducing new products to market. Elliot Kim, Business Daily.
Now, many of us know that vegetables are good and necessary for our health, but for the busy on-the-go individuals, it can be easy to miss greens in their diet. And as our Eunice Kim tells us, some enterprising minds have noticed this void and are gaining a following.
A restaurant that serves a plethora of greens. Located inside Korea's top women's university, here customers can top their bed of romaine lettuce with everything from chicken breast, salmon to potato salad for a bountiful dish that's also filling.
Vegetables are lower in calories than rice and side dishes, so I feel healthier after having a salad.
The prices, which stay close to 5,000 won or just under $5, are also a draw.
Making it at home is a lot of work, so it really helps having this on campus.
A long line at this salad restaurant in the business district of Yeouido, where workers take a quick break for lunch, filling thanks to add-ons like various breads.
There's simply no time to cook at home, so I try to eat healthy, at least for lunch, at restaurants like this.
Such salad joints began gaining traction last year, with dozens opening up shop in neighborhoods with offices and universities. The runaway demand even caught the eye of one major food conglomerate.
We noticed our competitors recording rising sales of salads, so we judged this to be a growth area for the domestic food market.
Will salads be another fleeting food trend in Korea or here to stay? What looks to be true is that the country is witnessing a second wave of health consciousness. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
Insect-based snacks. The first words that spring to mind would be slimy or extra crispy, but they are in fact packed with protein and may be the answer to fighting food shortage. Another reason why the edible bugs market is so promising is because they're eco-friendly methods of food production. And a local research team is also getting in on the action. Our Kim Ji-yeon has more.
Korean researchers have developed a product featuring an insect as the main ingredient. Insects are being dubbed the food source of the future, but the general population is yet to associate them with the dining table, especially because of their appearance. However, the Agricultural Research and Extension Services located in Chungcheongbuk-do Province has unveiled a spread made with Tenebrio molitor, or most commonly known as mealworms. The spread is made by mixing 9 parts of peanut flour with 1 part of mealworms, thus giving it a nutty flavor. And due to the worms being rich in protein, unsaturated fatty acid, and various minerals, the spread boasts a high nutritional value.
Compared to other edible insects, the Tenebrio molitor relatively has ample amounts of protein and fat, making the worm a good source of food for babies and recovering patients.
The domestic edible insect market, which was worth 6 billion won or about $5.4 million in 2015, is taking big leaps, and it is expected to be worth more than $87 million by 2020. Kim Ji-yeon, Business Daily.
And that wraps it up for today, but we'll be back tomorrow with more of the day's top business stories, so don't forget to tune in then. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.